Hey, you know what? I'm just reading this magazine here at the GIC conference, and it looks like another record attendance.
I'll tell you, and the newcomers rally, there was, what, twice last year?
Twice. Over
Yeah.
400 newcomers there.
Yeah, that was
Absolutely
really awesome.
Set an all-time record.
Yeah, but records, oh boy. That reminds me of something. Not 45s either now. Not CDs.
What's a 45? Anyway, so you're talking about records.
Yeah, talking about records, it's been on my mind because a lot of my clients are not really keeping good records.
I bet.
And I'm not talking 33 1/3s or 45s either.
Oh, and that's what we're here to talk about right now. This is Head Harvester Bill Arman from the West Coast.
And Head Harvester Ed LaFlamme. I'm trying to keep these guys, on track here.
From the East Coast. And I'm Head Harvester for Human Resources, Steve Cesare.
And we're going to talk about record keeping and some really important, this is no goofing off here, this is pretty important stuff. And I know as an industry, we're not really good at this. I know I wasn't. So why don't you share with us some really important record keeping processes that we
That's to do with HR, right?
Yeah, well, we're going to talk, just for this moment, let's just talk about keeping records for workers' comp claims. Because a lot of companies think they're doing it the right way, but they're not. And we don't want OSHA to come in and ask for your records and have them be incomplete or inaccurate. So we'll talk about OSHA workers' compensation claim records for a moment. First and foremost, make sure that you have all the records for the proper amount of time. Standard OSHA records have to be kept for 5 years. So we're in 2014 now, so you should have your OSHA records back to 2009. Now some records go back even longer, but that's the core element for us to keep in mind right now. The key records are these. You should have your OSHA 300 form, your OSHA 300A form, your OSHA 301 form. I know it sounds bureaucratic, but let's just get through it very briefly. The OSHA 300 form tracks all the recordable injuries that you have throughout the course of a policy or through a calendar year. You have to complete the OSHA 300 form within 7 days of an injury. So make sure you do that on time, everybody. It's critical. The OSHA 300A form feeds off of the OSHA 300 and it tracks everything and summarizes everything. The OSHA 300A form has to be posted from February 1st through April every year. So keep that in mind as well.
Posted where, Steve?
In a highly visible place in your location. So if you have multiple branches, it's got to be in both locations. Don't post the OSHA 300, only post the OSHA 300A.
Now, let me ask you one more question on this. Does that depend on the size of the company?
If you have fewer than 10 employees, you don't have to post.
Okay.
10 people or more, you do have to post everything.
But if you're under 10, do you still have to do the records, the record keeping?
You probably should keep stuff for your own personal records, but you're not going to be vulnerable to an OSHA audit by that.
Okay, so once you're over 10, then you need to do that.
Yeah.
That's 10 full-time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have the OSHA 300 form, the OSHA 300A form, but you also have the OSHA 301s. These forms aren't done hardly at all in our industry, unfortunately. The 301 forms are basically a one-page summary of every recordable injury. So for example, if you have 5 claims on your OSHA 300 form, you have to have 5 different 301 forms, one for each of those particular claims. So keep that in mind. So the OSHA 300, the OSHA 300A, the OSHA 301s. And what you should do really in a very significant way is every month I tell all my clients and all of our guys to request a loss run report from your workers' comp provider, and that way you can see what the workers' comp match them up.
Yeah.
Cross-validate what the workers' comp vendor has and what you have to make sure that your records, again, are accurate and timely, because if the workers' comp vendor says one thing and your records show something else, that's very difficult. And likewise, when you're getting that OSHA loss run report from them every month, you should contact your workers' comp provider every month to have a 30 or 45-minute meeting with him or her or them to make sure all of your open claims listed are being moved forward to closure. You don't want open claims and bad records, because that certainly hurts your loss run reports, your XMOD, and your OSHA vulnerability. So keep those things in mind, everybody.
Well,
okay?
And what happens if they don't do it? They've got 25 employees and they're just not doing it.
Well, it's certainly going to affect your workers' comp score. It's going to certainly affect your safety culture. And if somebody ever found out,
You're like OSHA.
they would come in and do an audit. It would be a serious fine. You don't want to get on OSHA's OSHA's radar screen for any reason at all.
Okay.
That's why records aren't kept very accurately in our industry. Hopefully this video will help you guys get there a little bit better over time.
Okay, well that's for the record.
Yikes, huh?
I'm a little confused, a little lost, like maybe the rest of you.
Have to replay
300,
this
300A, 301.
Good job. I know Ed didn't do a very good job.
Are you a lost run?
You are a total lost run.
I think you better replay this one a couple of times to get all
yeah.
those OSHA forms correct, huh?
A lot of 300s. There are almost 300 of them. This is Head Harvester Bill Arman.
And Head Harvester Ed LaFlamme from the East Coast.
Head Harvester Steve Cesare telling all of you to
Harvest
harvest your
your
potential.
make sure to keep all those records right, huh?
Oh my
I'd
gosh.
rather keep the CDs.
Are there
you know?
300 of them? Now you're getting like here.
Down
Yeah.
45s or 60s.
Yeah, much better than all those
Going
OSHA
around this way
records.
instead of
Yeah.
that way, or